I.W.S, we're back, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Got Sensei, of course, and we're back with Anthony. Glad to have him in the building. Man, we've had a lot of great responses to a lot of videos that we've been posting here recently. It seems like our fan base continues to grow, and it's only because we make sure that we go out to visit other dojo. We don't just say we do. We actually go out and train with other dojos and other Ryu. Just to get in that experience.
No S on the D.
No S on the D. So, one name that comes to mind is Loriega.
Absolutely.
Sensei Loriega.
Yes, we did go to Ali Kareem Sensei's dojo, which is Star and Crescent, and School of Essential Knowledge. Gotta love that title. And he had James Loriega come to his school and do a seminar. We were invited to go to that, so we went. And for those of you that are out there, if we get the invite, we pretty much show up. I mean, if it is at all possible, we will show up. So give us some advance notice, take care of us, and we will come. And then afterwards, which was really cool, Loriega Sensei, we asked if we could do like a quick interview with him that we'll be sharing on the show in a little bit. And he says, you know what? He said, instead of interviewing me here, he says, why don't you come back to my dojo? You can interview me there.
Oh, wow.
Oh, sweet. So we went back to his dojo after the seminar. He even invited us to stay for a class. So we actually took a class with him after the seminar, after the interview. It was great. We'll throw out some clips. Here's some clips of that.
Behind your head, and hyperextend the hand, and now you have him, and you can escort him out if that's what your goal is. Seal the gasket so that there's no wiggle room for him to escape, and you crack down. I'm going to have an immediate effect on him because I'm not releasing the hold to then return it. Lowering, so from here, whack. Okay? I would do that, and then I would come in and I would do something like Ganseki, which is here. And then straight to his triangulation point. Balance. This conversion. I immediately fill that in, and I lock him. And he left, and that was the last time. I told him this, and a guy with a good there you go. And that's from what?
And we're back.
Sweet.
And Anthony was with us. What did you think of the seminar?
That was definitely one thing I appreciate about Loriega Sensei is when we went to his dojo, he just assumed that we were going to get changed and take a class. He was just like,
yeah.
Like, I definitely appreciated that.
Yeah, what are you guys doing?
Yeah, you guys here to train? Or I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah, because you don't know why you were invited, so we didn't want to presume to, you know. So
definitely appreciated that.
We actually left our gi in the truck.
Yes.
And then he was like, no. Come on. Get your gi on. Let's train. It's like, oh, sweet. Now, to put this into perspective, guys, anybody who followed ninjutsu, when I was a karateka, back when I was a kid, I used to pick up, and I did kung fu when I was a kid. I used to pick up Ninja magazine, and I used to read. And the people I would read about were Ronald Duncan, James Loriega, Masasaki Yatsumi, these different people, Stephen Hayes, obviously. And when I got to start meeting these people, as I grew up in the martial arts, and I went from kung fu karate background into a ninjutsu background, and then I started to meet these people. It was like, holy crap, I was starstruck. One person that I always wanted to meet was James Loriega Sensei. Now, I first saw him in person at the Kawakami event, and it was the weirdest meeting ever. I'm hanging out with O-Sensei Ronald Duncan, and I'm talking to him, and I'm trying to get this guy to laugh, because that was my favorite thing to do with O-Sensei. He had this demeanor that was incredibly stoic, and that is the word for it. Anybody who knows him, incredibly stoic. My favorite thing to do was to get him to just bust out laughing. And you had to know the guy's sense of humor to do it, and it was very difficult to do. And someday I'll tell you that story. But I'm
cracking jokes, you know, very subtle jokes that he'll get, and he's doing this, which means that he's about to laugh, but he will not laugh. Right? This is awesome. So all of a sudden, I'm talking and I'm walking with him. All of a sudden, I hear, "Excuse me, Falcaro Sensei," and I go, "Oh, you know, I'm in somebody's way." So, oh, and I go to move. This is at the Kawakami event in New Jersey a couple years ago, and I turn and it's James Loriega, and I go, "Oh, he knows my name." Oh! It wasn't just like you know, it wasn't just like, oh look, there's James Loriega. That was the first thought that went through my mind.
Right, because this is a guy you looked up to all your life as a kid, and it's like, wow,
like
that's awesome.
It wasn't just like, oh, it was, oh my gosh, there he is, but it was, oh my gosh, he knows my name.
That's nerd out.
Geek it out. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, that's what it was.
Oh man.
So when I got invited to Ali Kareem Sensei's dojo to meet the man, Lord knows I was going. And it was difficult. Talk about difficult. We had all kinds of things that we had to do and move around and shift around to make that happen, but we got it done. And then the invite to his dojo afterwards was just awesome. It was just awesome. Hanging out with the guy. My experience is that he's just a down-to-earth guy, you know?
Very laid back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised.
Like, usually a guy like that, he's got a stick up his butt, he's, you know, he's a grandmaster, you know, usually you get that. He's like, he goes, I go, what's your proper title? He goes, Shihan. I was like, oh. I'm thinking about it, well, you were Shihan like a long time ago. He goes, no, that's the only title that Sensei gave me, so that's what I go by. I was like, huh, wow, that's really admirable, you know, because most people, if they don't get promoted, you know, for 10 years, they find somebody to do the promoting for them, you know. But he's easygoing, and I go, you know, what would you like me to address you as? And he goes, James would be nice. It's like, yeah, cool, huh? He's just cool.
Wow.
You know? And what else was really cool about him was he says, just call me James. Just call me James. And he continually referred to me as Falcaro Sensei, which means, you know, that could be taken one of two ways. But the way I take it is that it was totally cool for him, for me to call him James, but he didn't want to step on my toes if I wanted to be referred to as Sensei. You know what I mean?
Right.
So he was like cool in both respects. He was like, I'll adhere to tradition.
Right, it's a tradition.
I'm not, you know, I'll adhere to tradition. I don't want to, you know, break formality, but I'd like it if you broke formality with me and just call me James.
Right, how long has it been?
Right.
You know, he's been in that for so long.
I'm pretty sure he was a sensei before I was on the planet. You know, I'm just saying. I'm pretty sure.
It's like, I just want to be normal. Call me James. That's all.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Yeah,
it's so cool. You know? And, you know, I just continue to call him Loriega Sensei because it was still like, it was still geeking out.
Right, and you were traditional as well. You wanted to keep traditional. Sure thing. Geek. I would have geeked out too.
Oh man, he was so cool. You know, he's not just cool because of his ninjutsu background. I mean, that's damn cool. He's damn cool because he trained with so many different ninjutsu people. Like he was there in the 1980s where things were just breaking wild and the ninjutsu was brand new and nobody knew about it, and he got to train with boom, 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 boom. You know the names? Well, he know the people, you know? You know the names, but he knew the people. He got to meet them all. He got to see how they moved. He got to train with them. That's awesome. I mean, to be there at that time and place. Aside from that, the man trained Daito-Ryu, which...
He trained Daito-Ryu?
Anybody that knows me...
Doesn't he hold a high rank in...
Yeah, he's an instructor in Daito-Ryu.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah, anybody who knows me knows that I love Daito-Ryu. Because our art was... You know, one of the places it derived from was from Daito-Ryu. So I'm a huge Daito-Ryu fan, and you know, to listen to the stories of how he trained with this sensei and that sensei, and to listen to, it's always Japanese politics. Every story is hilarious to me, just because politics and martial arts, they don't belong together, but humans and politics is there. It's always there.
It's there.
So that was interesting. I got to hear some stories, some private stories about that, and that man was one of the biggest promoters of the late Don Angier, who Angier was an awesome AIKI Jiu-Jitsu practitioner.
Passed away in October, I believe. This past October.
Yeah, this past October.
Yanagi Ryu.
Yanagi Ryu, who I'm a huge fan of. You know, anybody who is a real martial artist knows who that person is, and if you don't know, look up Don. Don was amazing. Will always be amazing.
Jiu-Jitsu was phenomenal.
Yes, Jiu-Jitsu was phenomenal.
Something I'd love to get into more.
His Kenjutsu was phenomenal. His Aiki Jiu-Jitsu, he was just a very masterful man. What was cool about James Loriega is he saw this talent, Don Angier, and he was like, you know what? I'm gonna put the time in. I'm gonna bring you to New York, and he started doing seminars and bringing him up to New York, and you know, doing these amazing events where he would teach, and just awesome. But your thoughts on the day? I mean, you were there throughout the day.
The entire day.
I mean, what about the seminar? He went into Shinobi history and.
Yes, he did. He also used me as an uke. So this is before I knew about him at all. Like his background Daitsu training or anything. We were doing a technique with a hambo. And I would grab him, he would bring the hambo across here and grab it on top of here. And then the hambo, the basic idea is a hambo is supposed to put pressure up against my bones so it causes pain. He had it, of course he had it more than that. He had me like that for a minute. So I was like it made me wonder. I was like, oh.
So he has a concept of cognitive locking.
Yeah, I was thinking about, like, it made me think of Honkyoku. That's what it made me think of. Honkyoku, yes.
So this is a man that understands root structure. This is a man. See, these are the types of things. Like when you meet a martial artist, he's not going to tell you what he knows.
Yeah, that's why we were at his dojo, and what he was showing was just like basic.
Right. This is what you get. You get the basics, and from the basics, if you're a talented martial artist, you can derive how far and how deep this person has an understanding. Like, what does he really grasp? Right. And I could tell too that he was throwing out the basics. Oh my gosh. He was going so basic, in fact, that he was teaching technique at his dojo. He wasn't showing entries. He was just trying to, like, here, let's start from the middle of the technique so that you guys can grab something.
Yeah.
Which was very nice. It was very kind of him. I would have liked, obviously, anybody would like to get the doors open and just please blow me away and make me confused.
Definitely atmosphere.
Confuse me, please.
It's definitely a laid-back atmosphere, a lot different.
Yeah.
Laid-back atmosphere.
Yeah.
I've never seen or been in a dojo quite like that before, where there's different teachers in different arts, and they just have their different classes.
So he had different.
You know what I mean?
I do, but I think
I've never seen that or heard of that ever.
Yeah, in Pennsylvania we have the luxury of being able to, not always, but being able to fit the bill. In New York, things cost so much money that you need to get as many different classes and as many different things in your dojo as possible if you want to survive.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So do
It
you
would just if it was me, it would cause a conflict with me. It would cause a conflict with me because of like etiquette on the mat and the camisa.
Oh yeah.
And if there's like other arts,
Yeah,
they'd be like,
hey.
hey.
Well, they didn't have a camisa.
Yes, that I was like, it was like flags and trophies and stuff.
Yeah. Well, that was not from James Loriega Sensei. It was from the other.
That's why I think
sensei.
it was just like space that he used.
Right.
So you share space.
Share
New York space is very expensive.
Right.
I mean, when we went in there, I think there was a MMA class.
Right.
Just wrapping up
in the background. So that's a common thing, depending on where you go. You know.
Never heard of that.
Yeah. No, that's pretty common.
I don't think I would be able to do that.
It's not easy. It's not easy. You know, we had that opportunity when we were we went public, guys. We had a school. We had a school in Northampton for 14 years. Yeah, actually 14 years to the day.
Wow.
Isn't that weird? No. 14 years to the day. The day we closed. The day we closed and the day we moved out was the same day, 14 years prior, that we moved in. Isn't that weird?
It's kind of weird.
Pretty awesome.
It's very strange.
But we didn't go public right away.
No, we didn't go public right away, but we did have a commercial dojo. In Hellertown, we had a dojo on Main Street for 1 year, and then we moved to a shopping mall, and we had a dojo there for 4 years. So we had that was a big location, the biggest one we ever had. So one of the things, like, we were struggling against like the MMA thing because that's so huge. So I went to a marketing consultant, and they said, "Oh, well, obviously you're struggling. And an MMA gym's going to have this, 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 and this to adhere to everybody." I was like, "Oh." I'm like, "Well, what do you think what we should do so that we could survive?" And they go, "Well, do you have a yoga program?" I was like, "We're not a yoga studio." And they go, "If you want to survive..."
Studio, that gets me too.
If you want to survive,
Studio.
you got to have a yoga instructor in here.
Yeah.
Do you have a dance instructor in here? I was like, "We're not a dance school. You need to have a dance instructor in here." I was like, "Oh, wow, okay." You know, but on the mat, it's just not done. So like, it's weird. It's awkward for us. It's like, well, this is like
more traditional.
Yeah, this is sacred ground.
It's not a YMCA.
Yeah, exactly. This is sacred ground. You don't do that here. You know. So what we ended up doing was we ended up closing the schools because for us, it's better to go underground than it is to do that. But I understand that if you want to survive in New York City, you don't have that option.
Right.
You know? I don't know. I would teach in somebody's basement, but I probably would never get a huge.
True.
So Loriega Sensei has a very nice location. He's got, well, you guys will get to see video clips of it.
Definitely, I've been to quite a bit of seminars, and not one like that with a huge lecture about history. And I mean, when it said like bring a notepad,
they meant it.
Yeah, they meant it.
They did. They meant it. I wish we could give you clips of that, but he was adamant about no taping. So I think Ali Kareem, since I might actually post some clips in the future, who knows. I'd like to thank you so much for having us to your dojo, Loriega Sensei.
Thank you for coming and making the trip. Appreciate your visiting.
Oh, absolutely. No troubles here. So let's get right to it. I've been a fan of yours since before I could remember. I grew up like most everybody, reading ninja manuals and books and anything I could get my hands on. And I understand that you have had multiple teachers in the art of ninjutsu. How many teachers have you had?
Well, the only person that I consider my instructor was Sensei Ronald Duncan, but I've had the privilege of doing short-term training with Dr. Hatsumi and Shoto Tanemura, Master Higuchi, and Mr. John Williams, who is a ninjutsu practitioner from Canada. And I trained with him cross-trained with him in Untitled Chapter Jiu-Jitsu as well, to the point that I was able to get certified. All of my other ninja training has been with people who are specialists in one or another of the ninja arts, like Hojo Jitsu and Tambo Jitsu or Juta Jitsu, but not necessarily specifically ninja.
You've trained and you've bared witness to many different Ryu of ninjutsu. Where do you feel that Ronald Duncan's influence has taken you where maybe others were lacking?
Yeah, very specifically, where Sensei's teachings are superior to those others is that nothing is impossible, and if you don't know it, you will be resourceful and you will get out of it. Whereas with the other instructors, if it didn't exist, in their mindset, you had no survival opportunity. So then, if they did not have a technique for it, they didn't think that you could extricate yourself from it. Sensei taught us that there's never anything that you cannot get out of.
as I understand it, and I was never a student of the Way of the Winds, but as I understand it, it was a very loose curriculum in that it wasn't this is what you need to achieve for this level, this is what you need to achieve. It was you took as many classes as you needed for him to see proficiency, and then you were awarded rank. Is that correct?
That is correct. That is, I have to say, in keeping with how arts were taught not only in the 60s, but in certain Japanese systems where there wasn't what we consider now a full-blown orchestrated curriculum where you go from this level to this level. It basically was a teaching of principles as opposed to techniques. And the focus might vary from day to day, which was fine because this way I didn't have to finish all of my Tanto Jutsu before I went into Kenjutsu. I could get both simultaneously. For me, because I was not as comfortable teaching that way, I sat down for 3 years and I restructured everything Sensei taught me. And so what's in my curriculum is what came from him, but in a sequence that fits student development.
Oh, okay. So the Ninpokai, as you've structured it, has specific requirements to attain each rank.
At every rank, we have a rank requirement list that consists of multiple pages and 9 areas. So we go from Taijutsu, 9 areas later we're at something called Shinrigaku, which are mind arts. And so at every level, you'll have something from Taijutsu, something from Tanto Jutsu, Jutaijutsu, Daken Taijutsu, Taihenjutsu, all the way through some mental art that you begin with even at white belt level, and you will duplicate this itinerary all the way through black belt. And that was part of why it became so rigorous to format my system, because I didn't want my system to be just unarmed for this piece and then weapon. I wanted everyone to get everything at every belt level.
Oh wow, wow, that's awesome. That sounds extremely extensive.
It is comprehensive, and it is slow going, but I tell my students when they become impatient for rank that you're training in 9 arts, so if it's going to take you 5 years or more to get a black belt, it's not just in one discipline.
Right. I saw in a previous, I think it was a clip on I don't know if it was National Geographic that did or the History Channel, but there was a clip of you talking about how to study the ninja arts, it might be better for a lot of the practitioners out there to touch on NLP, neuro-linguistic programming.
Conversational hypnosis.
Conversational hypnosis. Have you yourself
yes.
delved into that?
Oh, yeah. Conversational hypnosis is a lot more involved, so it's still a field of study to me today. But NLP is something that I teach incrementally and certainly to all of my black belts. The very first book on ninjutsu, or rather the very first book that featured ninjutsu, is a book called Zen Combat by J. Buck. I'll show it to you if you don't have it. And in it, it's an expose of every martial art that was being practiced in 1962 in Japan. And so he interviewed Masayama, he interviewed Gogen Yamaguchi, he interviewed Morihei Ueshiba, and he met people that we can see from his writing who they were, but he refused to name them because he felt that their perception of ninjutsu was a little skewed. He said that they used cockamamie weapons, that the fact that they still existed today meant that they were useless at the time that they were being used, and they're more fit for a museum than for actual combat, he says. He says everyone that I meet in Japan claims to be the last ninja. Okay? And he says they kept records and scrolls, but they had their own writing language. And so when I bring them to scholars, they can't make hide nor hair of these ninja scrolls. Right. My wife's family, he writes, is a ninja lineage, and her uncle can't make anything of them. But I can tell you what ninjutsu is. Ninjutsu, for all of the hype, is a special way of walking. The ninja would walk to fit in with any group that he was in. He would walk confidently or he would walk timidly, whatever suited his needs. And it was ability to change his walk that made him penetrate everything. And if you learn anything, learn the art of walking like a ninja.
That's awesome. I myself have been fascinated by the arts that have survived from ancient times. And I find myself in a place, and I'd love your take on it, I find myself in a place of quandary whether, when you're looking at Koryu arts and Koryu derived arts, where the, for lack of a better term, Civil War recreationists begin and the practical application of a living tradition ends. What's your take on that? Do you feel?
What I know, pardon me, what I know is probably what you know, and that is that these arts were taught off the cuff by the seat of the pants during the Sengoku Jidai period because, you know, you were busy defending your life, you know, to sit down and write a curriculum. And then once we reached the Tokugawa period where there was relative peace for 250 years, that's when all of the samurai replaced their swords with a pen and started for the first time in 1603 to document their system. And so it continued up until Meiji. But a lot of it was hindsight. A lot of it was embellishment, just like Bushido. No one applied Bushido. It was an ideal to aspire to. Just like no one applied chivalry, it was something to aspire to. So when you read a scroll, it tells you the proper way to handle a sword, you know, Book of 5 Rings or something like that. That's an ideal. It's not really an instructional manual. And you're doing it from the comfort of your home, not from actually using it, because no one's used it in 250 years. So that's my take on it. So a lot of Koryu are, and that's why it changed from Jitsu to Do, because it lost its physical application, and it became a means of self-perfection and self-enhancement. So I would take everything with a little bit of a grain of salt, and we all know the Japanese have a penchant for ritualizing everything. So you make tea this way, you bow this way, you string your bow this way, you knock your arrow this way. I'm sure none of that was applied in the battlefield.
Yeah. There have been many martial artists who talk about the Japanese desire for the pedigree. That well, you're not a true ninjutsu practitioner because you are not pedigree. And how there really is no pedigree in Koryu, even though, you know, we like to say, all right, well, we can date this back and we can date that back, but how true is that? You know, how true is it that because you can see the succession, that lineage means that you're a pedigree, and every other martial artist is invalid. So I think that's one. Having said that, do you feel that there were anything maybe lacking in your training, or maybe something that was maybe not lacking, I want to offend, anything that maybe wasn't addressed, or maybe like driven home?
Okay.
Something that maybe you see in other ninjutsu styles that maybe wasn't driven home with your previous training with O-Sensei?
Yeah, but that is inevitable. Why? Because even the concept of Bugei Juhappan, where the samurai must master 18 arts, there aren't enough days, there aren't enough hours in a day to dedicate yourself to 18 arts. It's nice that you have 18 to choose from, but you're going to hone in on the ones that make the most sense to you. Not everyone can serve tea. Not everyone can use a fan. Not everyone rides a horse. Okay, so the 18 is there as a pool from which to draw on. The same thing with ninjutsu. Do not forget that these people did not have any leisure time. You know, they were working the fields and raising families and negotiating, and so time was tight, and it had to be well spent, and you spent it on the things that gave you the most bang for the buck, okay? If I'm going to confront the swordsman, let me give my time to swordsmanship. How often am I going to use a Shaken star, you know? And if I could, wouldn't I rather just go in and cut him with a sword than throw a star from far away? So I expect that there may be gaps in my training only because there are still 24 hours a day, no more. I then choose what I want to pursue based on two things: the immediacy of that particular art and the availability of that art. If I want to know meteorology but I don't have a Japanese meteorologist, I have to forego that and go to the next thing, which might be Heiho strategy. Now find a good person who knows Heiho strategy, read a good book like Thick Face, Black Heart, and get strategy from that. And that's how I fill in the gaps. So I don't expect anyone instructed to give me everything because it's unrealistic as an expectation on my part, because he also has a living to make.
Absolutely. I was speaking with Christina Jacobson over the phone a couple months back, and she's done wonderful things in her field. And one of the things that I was expressing to her and she was expressing to me, but the way she put it I thought was so poignant. She said, it's funny how Jiu-Jitsu has many Ryu, and everybody accepts those Ryu. If you're Danzan Ryu Jiu-Jitsu or Haku Ryu Jiu-Jitsu, or there are many different Ryu in Jiu-Jitsu, and that's true in almost any art, karate, many forms. When it comes to ninjutsu, everyone states that they're the only one. I was interested in your take on that.
Okay.
Why is it that there's this concept of this monopoly? We're real. And it's kind of strange because how is it that, and the reason why I'm asking is this man's been in ninjutsu while I was a toddler. I mean, he's been in the martial arts for a lot longer than I have. And I've witnessed this, and I've always known it to be the way it is. But I always wondered, how did it become that way? Why is it that way?
It's quite purely marketing and self-serving. In other words, if I admit that there are other options, you're not going to come to mind. So I have to negate your options. I have to question them, I have to impugn them, I have to malign them, I have to say, Duncan, he's not a ninja. Ashita-ken, he's not a ninja. Frank Dukes, he's not a ninja. Only and he has said that to me. Dr. Hatsumi said, Honto no ninja, the true ninja. Honto no ninja. He has said to me, when you do everything, you must model me. If you want to be a ninja, you must model me. You must eat like me, walk like me, you must fight like me. Because I am the model of how a ninja does everything. That was 1986. And I understand that, but I also understand that it's marketing. The fact of the matter is, when you get into this lofty area of lineage and authenticity, I want to ask him, who certified the first ninja? Who certified the ninja with his first black belt? There was nothing like that, okay? You became a ninja from what you did, not from who you associated or the specific techniques that you were able to regurgitate. It's a silly notion. In fact, we know that the belt system didn't exist prior to the 20th century, and that was just because Jigoro Kano decided that he would make it an academic pursuit because he was a college professor. Prior to that, you had your three levels, your Shoden, Chuden, and Hiden, and your Okuden, which was orally transmitted. Okay, so who's to say what was transmitted? And what, and it's okay that you can show me a list of your Shoden scroll and your Chudan scroll and your Hiden scroll, but all of that is a modern concoction. None of this dates back to when they claim that it dates back to.
So would I be correct in stating that you have a similar perspective to Anthony Cummins?
Yes.
The author?
I do have and I think, well, just to be fair to me, everything that Anthony said, I was saying like a decade before. But it was refreshing that someone who I never met from the other side of the pond came up with the same things and got the same ridicule, he's an iconoclast, he's a naysayer, we don't want you here. I was saying to these guys, when do I learn the ninja stuff? No, this is jujitsu. No, Ichimonji jujitsu. Homikadaki is jujitsu. I'm going to learn how to climb up. No, try to just do kotegaeshi. No, I didn't need to come to Japan to do kotegaeshi or to do any of the physical arts. I don't, okay? And you know, that's not what identifies a ninja, okay? That is your last resort, as I was saying earlier. You hope never to have to use a fighting art, and the less you use your fighting art, the more of a ninja you are.
Well, it's truly a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for your visit.
So appreciate it. Arigatou gozaimasu.
So thanks to Loriega Sensei for having us there, and we can't wait for the next time. We're going to get out there and visit you guys. I plan on being there myself and making that seminar.
We still have to do an awesome interview with Ali Kareem Sensei, which we promised you guys, and we will deliver on that.
Yeah, we definitely have to get together with Ali Kareem Sensei. It's been a crazy couple of months. With the holidays have come and gone. But
we got lots of excuses for it.
Tons.
But we're gonna do.
Life gets in the way, but we're definitely gonna make it happen. Absolutely.
And for you other guys out there that have schools, you know, we will hop in the truck, we'll hop in the van, and we will show up. It would be a pleasure to meet all of you. So, so send us the invite, make arrangements.
Here's our information at the bottom of the screen.
We are coming to town.
We're there. Completely. Give us the invite. We're there. Thanks for watching I.W.S.
Technique of the week.
Cool too, but what I would like to see you guys do, get into the practice of, is applying these AIKI through anything. So let's say you're here and you're locking your back here. Now, where does the AIKI fit? It fits all in and throughout all of this. It's not a separate entity. It is the pieces that fit inside the technique. Does that make sense? When we're locking a guy up and we're about to throw him, what is the plan? The plan is to dip, bump, and twist. The plan is to hurl him over a barrier. But if we understand that AIKI, this can look the same, but can be so much different. It can be so much easier. Here, here. Now, what am I really throwing? Let's get into that. Let's get into some effortless throwing, okay? How are we going to do that? First, we need to learn the basics of throwing. Right? Dip, bump, and twist. After we've attained that, right, then we can set, we can harness a lot from his form. We can set it here. We can harness quite a bit from it with minimal attachment, with minimal effort. Okay? Minimal attachment. Minimal. And minimal effort. Does that make sense? So let's get there. Let's get there. Let's start with some simple throws, and then I'll come around and I'm going to help you guys add some AIKI to it. Comfortable. Something comfortable.
Horribly.
Well, I dated this girl who was like, I think I was like 22 or something at the time, and she like was like 39 or something like that. It was awesome. It was awesome. It was like my first older lady experience.
It does do a martial arts technique on her.
Okay.
Yeah. So like,
that counts.
One night we're just both like really drunk, and then we're just like being a little rough with each other. So I thought it was a good idea to do a sacrifice throw to her. But like I'm too conscious about her head, so I kept it cradle because I didn't want her head to go like that.
Sure.
What I didn't think about is all of her weight was gonna be on one leg, because I just assumed she was just gonna go over it and be fine. Yay!
She doesn't know how to keep her body.
Yeah, all of her weight,
all
was on her one leg, and then she twisted around it like that. So with that twist, all that, yeah, that's exactly what happened. All of her weight was on there, so when it twisted, it just. So.
Sweet.
You know, she was all like, "Ow, that hurt." Yeah, she was like, "Ow, that hurt," and then like we didn't even do anything about it that night. I was just like,
I just thought of another story that I
want to keep it PG-13, but it's hilarious.
Yeah. Tell the story. Tell it.
No, wait. Keep it
going.
Oh,
Ice pack. Oh my gosh.
okay.
So whatever. She goes to the hospital the next day, and 7 screws, 1 plate.
Oh my God, 7 screws.
1 plate. I still have
not
this
1
X-rays
screw.
to this day.
7.
So
all you wanted was 1 screw.
Wait, because it was a plate like this, and then it had 7 screws. Wait, it was a plate like this, and it had 7 screws going on. I saw the X-rays. It was a good break.
So the moral of the story is.
Well, no, and I bought her because she kept complaining.
Even Ireland breaks
well, she kept
even on old girlfriends.
Yeah.
She kept complaining that because, like, for her to get around for a while, she'd have to crawl up and down the stairs. Mm-hmm. She kept complaining that she was getting like rug burn on her knees.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
So me just not knowing any better, I thought it'd be nice, and I went out to go buy her knee pads.
Yeah.
But like I saw this like variety pack. It came with a helmet.
The variety pack came with a helmet.
I gave it to her. And I was like, listen, it's cheaper to buy it all in one package.
The
you don't have to
pack
use the helmet.
Came with a helmet.
But I got her knee pads, so she want to get.
That's good.
Knee pads and a helmet.
So the moral of the story
is... It was a
is...
variety pack, and
for the girlfriend,
it was cheaper. And I was like, you don't have to use
for the girlfriends whose leg he spiraling braked.
You're right.
Oh, that's good.
Moral of the story is... Have a helmet and knee pads when you have sex with somebody from the Need to Get Room.
Don't date us.
Don't date us. Don't date warriors.